Collins, and this is the UnitedYouths podcast by UnitedYouths Technologies. Now, first of all, I'm going to tell you a little bit about UnitedYouths Technologies and chriswcollins.com. That's my website. Tell you about me, and then we're going to talk about a lot of things today. We're going to be talking about everything from technology. We're going to be going into Nintendo DS and things like that. And we're going to go all the way from there, all the way to young adult writers. We're going to be talking about young people who have had their books published. And then later on, we're actually going to give you some of our favorite Guinness World Records from the year 2000 as we look back at the oddest things that we've found so far in history. Okay, so let's get started. UnitedYouths Technologies was a company that I started. It's my initials, Christopher Wayne Collins. And it was a company that I had started in January of 2006. That company is now shut down, and its website, or its domain name actually, cwctech.com, is now my blog. Okay, now to tell you about myself, my name is Christopher Wayne Collins, as I've said about 5 times already. I'm a young adult author, so I'm trying to get published and stuff, and I've got a lot of stuff going on with that. You can find that on my blog. I'll try not to put too much of that on here. I mean, some of it's going to leak in, obviously, but I'm trying not to make too much of this show about that. It's going to be a lot about young adult writers, but I'm going to try not to make it so much about me. I mean, even though I'm going to try to make it a little bit about me. Okay, so before I freak you guys out too much, let's move on. I don't think they'll sell as well as the consoles before them, because the prices that they're at, people just aren't ready for those prices yet. Those prices are way too high. You've got the PS3 clocking in about, what is it, $600 or $700? I'm not sure. I haven't paid attention, because when I heard the estimated price range that Sony gave a while back, I knew that I wasn't going to be able to afford it, and I don't think it's worth that much money to play video games. Now, for occasional casual gamers, I don't think it's worth it at all. So I decided I'm definitely not going to get a PS3. The Nintendo Wii, or Revolution as it was called, I was going to get one of those, but even though it is pretty pricey, I was planning on getting one of those, but then I'm starting to think that even with the innovative gameplay, the games are sort of small range. There's not a lot of games that are going to be released so far. And of course, it kind of reminds me of the Nintendo DS, because the gameplay was very innovative, and a lot of people thought it would fail because of the fact that it was so weird. But it turned out that it beat the PSP with flying colors, and it's still beating it to this day. So I decided I'm not going to get a Nintendo Wii, at least during the release time. I'm going to wait if I get one of those consoles. Now the Xbox 360 is another story. I think the Xbox 360 has a great price. There's a lot of great games, and the gameplay, graphics, everything on that is great. So I am considering getting an Xbox 360 this Christmas, even though it's already been out for about, I think a year. So, moving on. Now we have, as you can see, our set is very professional. But anyway, now we have the Nintendo DS, or dual screen, or developer system. No one's quite sure what it's supposed to stand for. Now the Nintendo DS, as you know, is one of the 2 major portable gaming systems out right now. Now, what's really interesting to me is that the PSP can go online. It can use messengers through its online capabilities. It can, through Mevo, by the way. It can do just about anything that a computer can do. I mean, it can't download everything, but it can do a lot. It really can, and it's not that expensive for what you're getting. And I'm just wondering why this thing, the Nintendo DS, did so much better than the PSP. And I think I figured out that the reason is because of the price. Most people think the PSP is great, the features are great, they want one, but the target audience can't afford it, and their parents aren't willing to spend that much money yet. I mean, maybe in the future, yeah, but it's just like with the other consoles. Parents and people just are not willing to spend that much money yet. Okay, now also, as you know, the Nintendo DS Lite has come out just a few months ago, and it seems to be doing well also, although I think that the Nintendo DS Lite was a mistake. I think that coming out with a new version of every system they do is sort of a mistake for Nintendo. Although I think that if sales are good already, why change something if it's not broken? Why try to fix it? Because it's not broken. So I can kind of understand it in a way. because, you know, it is a nice system. It's smaller, it's sleeker, you know, everything about it is just nicer. But at the same time, I kind of think Nintendo has been digging its own grave for a while with re-releasing the exact same system in a different package. But anyway, okay. Another thing about Nintendo is the Opera browser for the Nintendo DS and the Nintendo DS Lite. Now, I'm not sure if you know, because it's not a huge story, it hasn't been, you know, all over the place yet, but Opera, a web browser manufacturer, is releasing a web browser for the Nintendo DS and for the Nintendo DS Lite. Now, let me tell you about that for a second. Why are they releasing it separately? A lot of people have asked this. The reason is because of the shape and size of the DS and the DS Lite. With the DS Lite, the shape is completely different. The slots are different slots. And I'm not sure yet because I don't actually have a Lite yet. I am trying to get one, but you know how that goes. But I do have a DS, and I know how it works, and I know what it's like. And I know that that is the reason that they had to release two different versions. Now let me tell you about where it's being released. So far, the Opera browser has been released in Japan, and you can get it, you can order it from the internet. The link to order it for $50 US, free shipping to the United States, will be on my website in the show notes. But anyway, you can order it from Japan, and you can actually browse in English, because most of the browsing, like back, forward, refresh, is done with pictures, just like a regular browser on your computer. Now, also, the browser is coming out in Europe in a few weeks. And once it comes out in Europe, that will be in English. And you can order that off the internet, although you can't order it from Amazon unless you get a friend to ship it to you from their house. But you can order that eventually also. And it will be in English completely. And you can set it up in English instead of having to read the guide online and translate it from Japanese to English. So you can actually do it the right way. But if I were you and I really wanted it, I'd go ahead and order it from Japan, because it's actually going to be harder to get from the UK. It might end up being a little bit cheaper, but it's going to be harder to get. So both of those links and information about that and the forums over at GameSpot will all be posted in the show notes. So you can read that over at cwctech.com. She is the author of Twilight's Edge Volume 1. And she's also the author of Twilight's Edge Volume 2, which is currently not out. And she published her books through Lulu.com. Now, in the next episode, we're going to be discussing the different publishing options and self-publishing options for young authors. And we're going to tell you about Lulu and a lot of other publishers. We're going to tell you about the pricing and which option will be best for you. Okay, our second author to tell you about today is Emma Marie Urquhart from Inverness, Scotland. This is the cover of her first book, Dragon Tamers, Reality Goes Virtual. This is a picture of Emma. And this is her second book, Dragon Tamers 2, Digital Tempest. And there is another picture of Emma. Okay, now Emma is actually published by a traditional publishing company, not a self-publishing company. And her books have been selling really well. I think she's sold over 10,000 copies. The books are doing that. Her writing has matured a lot since the first book was published. So she's currently rewriting those books and trying to get a better product made and then republished. So anyway, that's really all we have for today's episode. I'm sorry, I promised we'd get into the Guinness Book of World Records thing, but we're going to do that next episode. We're also going to teach you how to use blank disc and DVDs. Some people don't know how to do that, sadly. And we're going to tell you about publishing options for kids. And we might even have a couple of interviews with some authors, if we get to.